right, we're back for another episode of the Bad Ideas podcast. Apparently, we're live streaming too, but it's just the two of us. With Brandon Stanchock, the CEO of SWF Industrial. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you have a bunch of things going on.
I do.
You run a company, and
I help run a company, but yeah.
yeah, well, that's very wise. And you're writing a book.
I am.
And you have your own show, hence
I
the
do.
studio you're calling in from.
Yeah.
Tell us about you. Like, how do you divide your time? Where do you focus? What gets you excited?
Yeah, actually, that's been probably a little bit of a struggle bus the last, I'd say, year and a half, maybe two, trying to find what I want to lean my ladder, which wall I want to lean the ladder against and which not, because I kind of scatter. So I've really kind of honed in personal values, which are humor and feeling people's potential, whether that be mine or someone else's. So I've realized that that's where I want to focus. So what plays into that and what helps that is really where I'm managing my time. And then I like really filling every spot with something, right? So a lot of people don't think about the ways to, like when you're walking your dog, talk to ChatGPT to make a keynote speech so that you may use it in the future sometime. I did that just last week. So like as you're walking, like you can like take advantage of those moments when you're just sitting there because you have your phone, you have the ability to do a lot of stuff. So that's what I try to fill all those time blocks.
All right. So right now, tell us about the book. I think the book's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, Gamers, the Unexpected Overachievers. It's not out yet. It's still in concept phase, but I had a crazy idea to do it because I wanted to link the good parts of gaming because I think it gets a bad rap. And it's been a huge part of my life since I was 11. And so when I started thinking about all of the, I'm going to say skills, because I'm going to go out on a limb here about what that has taught me and how I apply them into my daily life. Really started thinking through some of that, and then hired a ghostwriter for $20 a month called ChatGPT, and just started fleshing out those ideas. And I actually thanked my ghostwriter in the book because I want people to be very aware of this was a help of AI, because I think it also gets a bad rap and what it's capable of doing. So just brain dumped and then kept refining and refining and refining and refining. And I think I'm on, I don't know, draft 20 something, and then created a book critic, uploaded that draft, and now I'm on like revision 10 of that version, right? Because that was That's like, awesome. You're a book critic, you think blah 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 blah. This is a novelty book that's kind of stupid, kind of funny, all in one, but has a little bit of, personal growth stuff in it, and then just let it rip on me. And it was like the consistency sucks, or the tone's not right, or and it just started going through the stuffs and then refining it more and more from there. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at right now. I don't know when. I would love to get it out by 2025, but it's not like a lot of the things I'm working on are like, I'm not putting deadlines to those stuff, and like not adding that additional pressure. There's enough pressure in life. So as I'm working through it, I want to be proud of it. So I'm taking my time with it.
That's a good way to go. Well, good teaser. Thank you for sharing that with us. I feel like we got an inside scoop on something.
Yeah, it does. But there's only one other person who actually kind of knows about it right now. So
there will be 17,000 when this goes live, which will be great. So it's Gamer, the Unexpected Overachiever. Is that the title?
Yeah. Gamers, the Unexpected Overachievers.
So I want to talk about that with you for a second, because I think it's ironic because video gaming, like publicly, is associated with like time wasting.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in this age of automation where everything is easier and easier and easier and simpler and simpler and simpler. So on the one hand, like the serious stuff is getting remarkably easy. And on the other hand, the really complicated stuff and the problem sets are evolving in gaming. So as much as it's like looked at externally as this, time waste, this unproductive activity, I've experienced the same thing too. The most relentless problem solvers I've ever hired, particularly on the development side, like really complex stuff, are gamers, because they refuse to stop. They're like, there's a way this works, and they just keep hammering at it. And it's amazing. And it's ubiquitous too.
Yeah. So it's all moderation, right? Like you can't just say, do as much as you want, right? And it's not going to hurt your life, because that's not true. I've been down that hole, right, that you live in. Like as soon as I graduated college, I lived in my parents' basement for 6 months until I got my first job, and it was probably the greatest 6 months of my life, to be honest. Like playing Modern Warfare 2 for 13 straight hours, like I've been sending out like 11 resumes a day. And so, but you're right. I think the grind concept is real, like farming, right? Farming for things for hours on end just to get something that doesn't actually is tangible to anyone, but it's that checkbox, right? And I very much live in that task oriented. That's why I love like Farming Simulator, right? Because there's tasks, there's hundreds of tasks a day I have to do, like feed the cows and mow the lawn and collect the crop. Like it's just stupid, but sometimes it's the out that I need, especially with the day-to-day, right? Where it's like, it's very, I don't like social mixers. That's why I do a podcast. It's my way of staying social without having to be social. So it allows me to kind of introvert myself into, a Sunday afternoon and really enjoy that and just go somewhere awesome.
Yeah. Have you read much on the mind, like psychology and really, really interesting. That's what I've been kind of studying. I'm probably like 200 books in now at this point.
Wow.
So I'm
Dang,
reading,
dude.
the spacier it is, the more I read about it. But they talk a lot about how like your inner voice, like the part of your mind that talks back to you is like the most destructive thing in your existence. And there's actually parallel to gaming, because when you're gaming, that mind is focused on the tasks, or like whatever remedial things you're doing, which open up your subconscious mind to receive and communicate more naturally.
Dang.
So it's this funny, like you're occupying the destructive part and allowing the constructive part to kind of
be creative,
do its own thing and send signals to you. So I do the same thing. I play Borderlands 3, and it's just mindless gore, but like my brain is focused on that, and ideas are, I should do this, and I should do this, and I should do this. It's lovely.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I talk about a little bit of other aspects where I think people don't give enough justice. Like one of the concepts I use in the book is around like communication or strategy or negotiation. Like if you've ever dropped into a duos match in Warzone and you both want to win, but it's the first time you've ever met this person, you do not know them, you know their gamer tag, you don't know what their interests are, you don't know how messy their life is or how terrible their day is going, but you have to communicate in a way to achieve a goal by beating other duos who are possibly friends, and it's the first time you've ever met, and some of them don't even talk, and you have to communicate to win. Like try that out. For 30 minutes, you have to make a friend. In 30 minutes, someone you just met, you have to make a friend. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a skill set for sure.
For sure.
And those people are going to be amazing first day in whatever job you put them in, because they're like, all right, got to figure this out and make it happen.
Yeah. So like just the chaos, and even like I love the streamers that are really successful, right? So if you think of a streamer and to create an audience and create a community where people feel included with zero budget, almost zero budget when you start out, right? Like until you get pretty big, like, and you start getting sponsorships and things like that, but you have to create an online community of people you'll possibly never meet or never even know that well, but feel welcome enough to keep coming back, to be entertaining enough to keep reinventing yourself with zero money. That is genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with that is it's exponential. So once that goes, it becomes its own industry, and nothing can compete with the value of entertainment. It's the attention economy still, at least for now.
Yeah.
Look at us doing a podcast. We're trying to do the same thing. Well, tell us. So outside of the fun, creative stuff that you do, tell us about SWF. So what's the team like? What do you guys do?
Yeah, we're amazing. So anything metal we build. If you can't buy it in a catalog, pretty much we can build it. So stainless, aluminum, carbon, pretty much any type of metal, but those are the main three when you get into really construction industrial work. And we have 5 total bays, 2 buildings right now, around 165, 68 employees. But yeah, it's just food, farm, and beverage is kind of our sweet spot. So anything that, could feed people. So if you've eaten a Twizzler in the last 20 years, it's probably gone through something we've built, because one of the main Twizzler factories is here in Pennsylvania, and we do quite a bit of work there. And so yeah, lots of snack food and thing. You wouldn't understand how much construction goes in just to feeding us, but it's a lot of
machinery.
Money.
The volume's crazy. Yeah. So you're like a real CEO. You're not like this silly podcast guy who plays video games. Like you run a real company.
I don't know what that means. So let me give a little context to that. Yeah. So the story is my father-in-law is the one who started the company in '84. So SWF stands for Stewart Welding and Fabricating. So he started in a 2-car garage, just himself. My current COO, Brian, who's amazing, was employee number 6. Right. So he just climbed that ladder. Right. And he's been there for going on 40 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, he's amazing. So what happened is Al was going through some health issues. He had early Alzheimer's dementia, and we had a family meeting in 2018, and it was like, what are we going to do? Succession planning and things like that wasn't really laid out. And it was like, this is happening faster than we were ready for, or he was ready for. So family meeting, I was in power plant construction at that point for 10 years, loved it. I traveled to like 33 states in 8 years. And then we had the family meeting. I decided to come over. It took me about a month to make the decision because I loved what I was doing. But, there's a family aspect to that, which is hard to watch. So came into an amazing team that had a ton of experience and a ton of longevity. What's really interesting about it is I think back now, and it's a bit of a superpower, that I can't build anything, Nick, nothing. I can't hang pictures.
Except writing a book and running a podcast.
No, but I mean like mechanically deficient to the nth degree. So I have a whole chat on ChatGPT, which is like my Bob Vila. And I'm like, this is the model of this. How do I fix this? Right. Like, maybe I can do it. Maybe I can't. So a simple thing like replacing a utility sink took me like 6 hours and 4 trips to the Home Depot. So that tells you how deficient I am. But what it allows me to do is focus in areas that I'm really strong in. Right. So team building, culture, sales, purchasing. I'm big into project management because I did it for 10 years. So really finding efficiencies in those areas, but then staying in my swim lane when it comes into engineering, detail drawing, fabrication, like the real meat of stuff, right? So I'm really working over here on this stuff that I'm powerful at and staying out and letting people do their jobs that are really good and technical.
So like your COO must be amazingly technical and know everything.
Yeah. I mean, he was employee number 6. He's built literally one of everything in the company. Right. And then you have all of those people around him, like 25-year employees. Some of our PMs have been there for 25, 30 years. So like the team like just rocks. So it was a perfect scenario for my skill set to walk into because I could focus. The first place I went was the only thing I knew, which was project management. So making sure the projects we run are solid and we're doing really well at them. No surprises for the customer. We don't have to be babysit. We just know how to run really good work, and we're known for high quality. Our craftspeople know what they're doing, and they know how to make anything out of metal. And it's amazing to watch, dude. Taking flat sheets of anything and turning it into like we just built a 100-foot asphalt conveyor that's going to Texas right now, or Arkansas. Like it's on the road right now, and it's 100 feet long, and it just started as 2 I-beams that were 101 feet long. And then you put all these pieces together. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome though. And how's it gone since 2018?
Good. So I would say main things we focused on was some of the PM stuff. We just tightened that up from an expectations perspective. I'm a data monkey, so lots of data stuff, lots of transparency, lots of KPIs. We changed quite a bit of rules. We were pretty rule heavy. Brought a lot of flexibility, but accountability with the KPI. So you can have flexibility as long as you have accountability with metric. I believe this is just my philosophy. Some people aren't totally on board with that, but we have multiple calendars people in the shop can choose from. Obviously, our install crew, we have about 30 people on install that go into customers' facilities. They work to the calendar of the customer. That's kind of how that works. Office, they come and kind of go as they please. We have remote workers, like our detailing department, which was a little bit new. Just a lot of flexibility, a lot of change in the rules area, got rid of some stuff. And we have a retention rate, like last year it was 12% turnover, which our industry is about 35 to 37.
It's a little better.
Yeah. And we have a retention graph of almost 8 years. Construction is usually 3 to 5. So almost double the industry average there. So I would say culture wise, like that's where I love to live. And we're seeing the fruits of that. It's hard to get people in our industry. As you know, welding is one of those harder things that's getting easier because it's becoming cool again. And so when people come in, we really like to keep them.
Yeah. Super high value. Have you read Andy Grove's book, High Output Management? Do you know who he is? Original CEO of IBM. One of the greatest company leaders ever, but everything that you just said is like straight out of his mouth. So I don't know if you're like channeling him or you're just like indirectly, maybe he's your uncle, like
he's my spirit animal, Nick.
Yeah. But like, that's like legendary CEO, like people model themselves after him and you're hitting like every single one of his high points. So that's why we're begging you to come here. And the humility I think is amazing too. Like to be able to do things that are impactful, but like kind of continue to appreciate the people around you and prioritize them is amazing. And Grove talks about that a lot too, about how like you need good people and you need them in good systems, and you need
Yeah.
to empower them because that's where the productivity comes from. It's everything that you just said, basically.
Oh, well, no, I will look. So to be honest, I just started really reading books in November of 23 again, like after high school / college. And I know I should have been, but I didn't understand what the value of that was. And then I read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People because I wanted to be better at the front end. Like I didn't realize how bad I was with people until I read that book. It was written in 1936 and I'm like, you're an idiot. And then I went through that evolution and was like, holy shit, like this is awesome. And then I had such a profound like stance on me that then we started a company book club in small group. And then we released it to the entire company. We had 26 people signed up, and we just started our second one and we had 36 people signed up in construction, voluntary, 36 people. So
that's huge.
It's straight baller. We're reading Atomic Habits right now. And it's the cheapest leadership, personal growth, collaboration class you could ever put in your company. And all you got to do is buy books and pay their time. That's it. Half an hour Monday, amazing. Half an hour Friday. That's all we meet.
And it must stick too, because you're doing it with colleagues and you're relating it to something meaningful. I think that's the hard part with reading. If you don't have something to anchor it to, it seems aimless.
And 100%, dude.
You know,
it was a little bit selfish because I'm like reading now and I have to, because everybody's got to show up. Yeah. Right. And it doesn't feel so taxing to me. Like I don't have to make time for it because it has to be part of my time. Mm-hmm. So it was a little, selfish in that part, but it's been hugely beneficial.
To loop this back to gaming, do you ever watch a walkthrough on YouTube? Like you can't get past something and you're like,
dude, Rad Brad's like my favorite YouTuber.
Right. So that's how I feel like books in business are kind of like walkthroughs. You're like, I don't know how to deal with this.
It's really good.
And you Amazon something and you're like, all right, here's 5 people. Oh, he ran IBM. Let's see how he solves this problem.
Yes.
And Patrick Bet-David, he has his podcast now, but his book is phenomenal. Your Next 5 Moves. It's like the simplest business book I've ever read. And there's so many nuggets in there you can take to things that you deal with every single day, just right off the page into practice. But like I said, if you assign me that in school, I'm like, what? I can't read this. You have to like tie me to a chair and then I'll forget it all the second it's over. But because everything is fresh, and relatable, it's amazing. And you've kind of fostered that for your team, which is even cooler. You made it relatable for them.
Yeah, I'm big on happy people or efficient people. That's kind of like my go-to culture mantra. But the problem with that is it doesn't stop when they walk out the door, right? It's also the family problems and the baggage you bring into work that also causes you to slow down. Because I relate it to myself. If I have a shitty day at home and I'm bringing that into work, like I'm in a weird headspace, right? Some people can shut it off. I don't know how to do that. I can't do that. So I'm assuming some other people can't do that. So another thing that we just implemented this year was free mental health for all of our employees plus 7 family members. And really that took getting with a employee benefits program who was not afraid to get weird with us and saying, okay, this is what we want in 2 years. We want to offer this. But right now we're in this box that it doesn't exist in. So how do we get out of that box and then create a money pool that we can offer this for free, right? And then hopefully solve 7 other people in their family so the whole conglomerate is better, which means they're coming to work, showing up happier, which means more efficiency. At least that's the equation I'm using to make logic to myself.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good. It's super caring too. It's kind of unusual in an economy like this where everything is transactional and you're going the opposite direction, trying to overinvest and retain.
But how do you get tiny percentage wins, right? You have to fix all the tiny things. And then
Andy
they
Grove.
amass.
Andy Grove. You got to read that book. Your head will explode. You'll be like, this guy. All right. So outside of all the good ideas, because we're going to write a book if we keep talking about this, you're going to have to write a second book. How I wrote Andy Grove's book before I read it. We're going to look at our bad idea now.
Okay.
And we'll reveal the bad idea. We'll make fun of it for a little bit and then see if we can turn it into something. And I know you said you're not a builder, but we now have like video evidence of 5 things that you are building and like you're innovating while you're on the show. So humility is good, but we all are on to you at this point. So let's see what we can do.
I don't even know what that means.
It means you're an entrepreneur, regardless of what you call yourself.
Thank you.
Building good things, whether it's inside the company or a company from scratch, is still building. Someone else just told me that last week. Someone else will watch this and see the book club and see the mental health benefit plan, and that will start showing up in other because of you. That's entrepreneurship. Doesn't matter if there's a dollar figure attached to it.
I had a guy on my podcast who said it's just words. Stop putting them in a box.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dang, that's brilliant.
Yeah. All right. So our bad idea for today. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we got. It's extremely relevant. This will be good for you.
Yes.
Self-destructing tool rental service. Rent top-tier metal tools that self-destruct in 30 days, sparking chaos and deadline mastery. Employees scramble to finish before the bang, earning Chaos Mechanic badge for stunned safety crews. This sounds like
it's a horrible idea.
Like a OSHA issue, right?
It's the first place my head went.
Yeah. The other thing, my head went to auto manufacturers. I feel like car parts are designed to self-destruct. I mean, they fall apart, but like
phones and computers.
Yeah. Right when Apple's doing a new feature announcement, your phone starts like gumming up. Is that the same in tools and hardware too? Do things expire like?
It's interesting. One of my CEO's famous words is that weld will be there long past when we're alive, right? So the things we build last a long time. And it's funny because we get wrapped up in a lot of stuff when it comes to welding and specs. And a lot of that's completely understandable, but some of it's complete overkill sometimes. And it's like that structure will be here long past any of us who are talking about this right now, right? So no, we try to build things, especially a lot of the degradation comes into the extremes, right? The temperature switches, or like the things we put on our food, like liquid smoke. Not good. It like eats through stainless. Like that shouldn't be a thing, but it is. So yeah, any of that stuff, like you get into some crazy stainless products, like with stainless that's really expensive because it has to withstand these crazy things we put it through. So no tools. I mean, there's a reason our crews they buy very specific tools and only ask for very specific tools because they know. Yes. Yeah. There's no Harbor Freights in our buildings.
Do you think those companies suffer in margin over the long run because they make something they only sell once?
I don't know. I think it's target audience. Like I think
to explain that, like, well, you guys are top of the line and your quality is expected of you. So you're going to buy quality.
We have to, yes.
But are there bottom of the line in this space? Like, are there cheaper shops that, might try to save a couple bucks by buying cheaper hardware?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why we get some rework from other people's work, right? So they'll bring it in just because we have to fix it. And I think a lot of it's just like, where's your line on how much you want to spend on quality, right? Like, so are you going to spend a ton of money on training, on OJT training? Are you going to track the quality performance? Like we're ISO and AISC. That was a lot of money to get into those programs and a lot of money to keep up with them because you get audited every year. So you have to do a lot of things correctly, which costs either overhead or process to get to that point. So yeah, it's a scary thing to get into. Once you're in it, you're like, how did I live without it? But it's an investment, like a lot of things. Anytime you have any type of certification or anything, you have to keep up with.
So that's the game. Then you can get away with making cheaper, faster degrading tools if you're selling specifically to the market that doesn't have the bandwidth or the cash flow to even think longer term.
Yeah, I would think so. Or it's just like maybe you don't use it as hard. Maybe you're not heavy industrial. Maybe you're just maybe you fab some stuff in your garage. So you don't need, like we're putting thousands of hours on our welders, right? Just cranking every day. And you probably don't, do you need to go with a Miller or Lincoln if you're just doing, some small stuff on the side? Maybe not, because they're a lot more expensive, but we need them to last multi years, to get the money out of them.
Do you ever rent tools or do you own everything?
No. So a lot of install will rent, so like we don't own like scissor lifts and jibs. Like we have a couple mostly for like maintenance stuff around our shops, but we won't send them to site. We'll use like rental companies for that kind of stuff. But we own like orbital welders. We own all of our welding machines. Anything that we use consistently, we would own. But anything that we may need outside of the normal stuff that won't fit on a foreman's truck, like an F450, we would rent that out.
Do they come and pick up and drop off the equipment, or is that on you guys?
Nope. Right. Yeah. That all comes in. So it'll be the rental fee, pick up, drop off, an environmental fee, and that's usually probably it on that. The first invoice obviously is the coming in, the last invoice is the going out, and then in between it's just environmental and rental.
So they don't really need to make the gear self-destruct because they're coming to pick it up, right? They're not going to save any money by having it like detonate at the end of the use.
No. The only thing I could see with that is like a tool that like is caustic over time, right? Like that's the only thing I could see where you'd like want it, like if we could figure out how like the byproduct of nuclear power, like the uranium waste, like that would just we'd have our problem solved, right? Or like all this battery stuff, right? Like what are we gonna do with all these batteries and everything that may be coming from EVs? And I'm an EV owner, like what are we gonna do with that kind of stuff? Like shoot it to the sun? I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's like an attention. So we're looping everything in here, right? Are you a Nintendo guy by any chance?
I mean, it was, but not. I don't have a Switch or anything,
dude.
I have a Steam Deck.
The new Zelda games are just unbelievable.
I've watched people play through them, and they look right up my alley.
Yeah, they're like all the good stuff of Zelda 64, just modernized and with way more stuff. Yep. But all of the weapons self-destruct after a certain usage decay. Okay. So what it does is it conditions your mind to constantly look to resupply. So even though you're trying to kind of progress, you're always thinking about stock. And in business, I kind of relate that to oil changes in cars. I think most people don't know that when, most oil is synthetic now, or at least they're trying to make it synthetic. And when that was tested, and this is 40 years ago, the original test was to keep a car spec for 100,000 miles. And they put it on a dyno machine and ran it 100,000 miles with no oil change. And that's 40 years ago. And people are still changing their oil every 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles. Oh, you can go 10,000 miles. And the oil's way better now than it was 40 years ago. So it's a conditioning thing. Like they're selling you something cheaper that's synthetic they can make on their own, but is also better protecting your engine. But they're conditioning in this constantly need to resupply. I need to change my oil.
Well, they got to keep they got to keep charging, right? So what does it say on the bottle? How many miles?
Oh, it says 9 to 12, but like, I mean, how is that possible that your first prototype kept the car solid for 100,000 miles and 40 years later you're a tenth of that efficiency? Like nothing in the world works that way.
Yeah. It's sales.
Yeah, it's marketing. It's the toothpaste analogy, right?
Yes.
Make the size of the spigot bigger so you consume more toothpaste. But that doesn't exist in tools. Like
no, tools are supposed to be made to last.
Yeah.
And people get very annoyed when they don't. Like I am that kind of consumer. I will do a ton of research before I buy something what I would deem as expensive. And then like I wanted to buy it once. And then I was the type of kid that kept all my boxes with my toys. Like I only wanted to buy the toy once because then I kept it really, I like keeping things when I buy them and keeping them for a long time.
And now we're going to invent something. You ready? This is the pressure moment. No, there's no pressure. How do you flip that? So, I mean, you guys kind of exist in this space. You sell quality and people pay a premium for the quality and they come back for the quality. So as long as you deliver to that standard, like you are monetizing quality. You've already figured out one way, but for people who are manufacturing things like tools or parts, how do we shift from a decay model? Like how do we mark up a cheap part that we have to sell multiple times to like how do we monetize quality in a better way or create a better way to monetize quality so there's a greater financial incentive to make better stuff?
Well, and less garbage.
Yeah.
Right. Overall. Yeah, that's interesting.
Think about, are you a Mac guy or a PC guy? Well, I see it.
PC mostly. Yeah.
I'm a Mac guy because you had to be in Boston and now I can't get off the platform. They've trapped me. I'm afraid to say it. But they had a solid like 7 or 8 years where they were using Intel processors and the machine was cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And you could feel the difference. Like every new model was flimsier and it would break and you'd have malfunctions that you just never had in the early Macs. And I think the reviews were so bad that they beefed everything up. Like one year it went from this like super thin, super piece of crap model to this really beefy thing. That's the model I have now that was just like the old ones. And suddenly everyone's buying Mac again because this thing is a tank. So like there is a market force that cares about quality, but there isn't a device or at least that I know of yet, there isn't a device outside of just premium, like people who have the budget to pay over the top for something that they're never going to have to worry about again, to incentivize that like across the market. It exists in pockets where people are informed enough and have the means to, but outside of that, you kind of, what do you think?
Yeah, that's fascinating. I don't know. This is so outside of what I'm good at. Like this is very marketing, philosophical, psychological, like, and I think I struggle in this space quite a bit. I think this is more entrepreneurial, maybe.
Well, it is, but your superpower is the team, and that's what I was kind of trying to tease out, because I think the team is a superpower everywhere. That's the purpose of this whole show of Bad Ideas. I think there are tons of nut jobs like me that sit around like, you could do this, and then you could do that, but nothing ever happens. You just have lists of things on the walls, and then eventually you find somebody like you who's like, okay, we need these 5 people, and we're going to go do this for this customer. And then if that works, we're going to do 3 more. And like they get a plan together, and then whoosh,
I love process.
The
I love
idea
building
becomes
processes.
Real. But that's what makes real things come to life. That Andy Grove book, it's all about like the first 3 chapters of the book are about how to create a breakfast restaurant. This is the CEO of IBM, like talking about the time it takes to make an egg and how to scale the volume of eggs you serve to people, and like. But that's really how you bring ideas to life. It almost doesn't matter how crazy it is. So like someone who is great at teams and great at process could create a self-destructing tool company and make it successful. It's not really the marketing genius or the idea behind it. It's more like, can you bring the right people together and aim them at the right target?
It's fair
to get it moving. Like your benefits idea, mental health for 7 family members, like that came to you, but then who do you go to first to get that moving? Do you talk internally? Do you call a consultant? Like,
yeah. So HR, we all got together and we talked about what we want for our employees and what are we internally struggling with. Like construction is notorious for males, especially for suicide. It's really bad in construction.
Whoa, really?
So yeah, it is. It has been for a couple of years. So really targeting that specifically and saying like, okay, 1, how do we solve this problem? And 2, like, how do we make sure that this is available for many people? Because coming out of COVID, there was a lot of people who were just angry, didn't know why, right? And then trying to get therapists or psychologists in that time frame was nearly impossible. So obviously, we had an interim solution with somebody who was a retired counselor, and we actually had them helping out team members on the side until we got to something that we could formalize, and get into that space. And it was really just around how do we solve this problem that we have that is a big problem. And then also getting people comfortable with the stigma of like, it's okay to talk to people about anything that you need help with, right? That's the biggest hurdle with putting out those things, is getting people over the stigma of it.
Yeah, right. Because they don't want to admit that there's a problem when you can't solve it unless you acknowledge that it's there. But how did you create like a committee? Was there a leader? Was it all you? Like, how did you keep it moving?
Nope. We met as a group internally, and then we started talking to brokers because we were going to change kind of employee benefits brokers. And then when we finally chose that one, we said, this is what we're currently in. And they said, what is your best scenario in 5 years? And we said, this is what we want to offer. These are the things that are really important to us. And it could be anything in between, right? So we just want a more robust EAP for our people, because right now we're the shoebox, and it's okay, but it's not great. But guess what? The younger workers we're seeing coming in are asking those type of questions. What's your 401k? What kind of benefits do you have? Like, they're educated, and they should be, because guess what? They can choose anywhere to work. So they want it to be right. So I'm glad we went that direction and we have those kind of options, because I do think it makes a huge difference, not only from an employee standpoint of coming in, but also keeping people long term.
So that's the full entrepreneurial cycle right there. You start with your idea, and then you validate it in the market. That was your retired counselor, because you wanted to just offer it and see how it works. While you're validating it, you come up with a way to market it, which is, how do we make it okay for people to ask about these things or take advantage of them? And in the background, you're doing your product development. So talking to the brokers, figuring out like how to get to your endpoint. And all the while, like the first 2 things you did was validate it with that retired counselor and assemble a team to start talking to the market and figuring out where you could actually take it. Like, that's literally how you make something. That's entrepreneurship. Thank you for the masterclass and the case study. But
Thank you for identifying, because I just, my brain doesn't wrap itself around like that. Because I only see it as large risk, large things, right? And I don't see it as these tiny things. But you're right. You're absolutely correct.
That's the quote from the show. The risk isn't large if everything is a small step, because you only have to take a small step back if it doesn't work. That's the quote from this show. I think my mission is to show people that like building stuff is not that hard, and you're building stuff all the time. I mean, you're probably building tons of stuff all the time. You just don't think of it that way because like you're not Zuckerberg ringing the bell on the stock exchange, but that's innovation. And you do that enough times, you get IBM. Like it's a pretty good story. And I think a lot of people have ideas. I think they wait until they have a really catchy title, like gamers, the unexpected overachievers. Like they wait for that idea to ping them. Like, oh, I wish that hit me and then I'll be a billionaire. But it's like, no, you do a little thing and make a big difference for a lot of people, and then do another one and another one. And
I mean, the only reason I think some of this stuff is coming to fruition is honestly because AI has made me afraid to literally do anything, or not afraid to do anything, because I do have these ideas, right? But then I don't want to have to go talk to 100 people of experts, because I'm just, that makes me uncomfortable. But now I have the best assistant on the planet who I can just have conversations with. And it's like, be real with someone without having to be real with an actual person. And so like, it is supercharged, like these side projects and what I want to do with them.
How do you think those two intersect? So gamers plus ChatGPT in business. Is that in the book?
No, actually it's not, but maybe a good epilogue there, or whatever they call those things. But no, I'm not sure. I think that's really interesting you say that. I've actually never even thought about that, but we've kind of lived in that world of living through help in that form of virtual something, virtual friend, virtual life. You know, when you talked about degradation of weapons, like I went right to Red Dead, right? You have to wipe down your guns when you're playing that game, or they don't shoot well. Like, and that's so interesting that it's real enough that you have to think about that kind of inventory management all the time. But yeah, I'm wondering if that's why I jumped in kind of both feet, and I didn't know what I was doing. You just try things. And that's why on LinkedIn, like I've been posting pretty consistently about stupid ways I use AI, because I just want people to dip their toes in with really dumb stuff, because then you start realizing the power, and then you're buying the $20 subscription like that, because like you can't ask it enough questions and then you're like timed out, right? It's a perfect business model, because you're like drinking from the well and it's like, nope.
Yeah, well, there's no limit to where your brain can go with things, because it's so big.
Yes.
I think that's the most exciting thing about AI for me. I think it gets a lot of credit it doesn't deserve. Like it's not as intelligent as people think it is. I'm sure you encounter it making bold mistakes on things frequently. I do. But it's by far the best search experience in history.
Yes.
Like the ability to access and distill information really, really fast is just unbelievable. So when you get a creative problem solver who's a little relentless, maybe with a gaming background, and the power of that, you point them at a problem and you're going to get some kind of solution super fast. Might not be the best one, but that's where your skill set's a superpower.
I think the answers are as good as the input, right? It's very much an in-out. It's still the same, I think, filter as we always say, right? Shit in, shit out. But like when you start working that process or that problem and you start going down the road and you're like, okay, I don't like that. And you pivot. Like the pivoting of solutions and problem solving is so elite. Right. Because then you're just like, no, that's not the direction I wanted to go. And then you pivot over here. And now that it has the ability to go across the chats, like just if you have, like, I probably have like 70 chats open right now, right, that are active that I just bounce around to. Right.
Yeah.
So when you have all of those, just start a new chat and say, based on everything we've talked about so far, what could you tell me? What are my superpowers as a human being? Try that one out.
No, no. I don't want to be evaluated by ChatGPT just yet. But yeah, it's really amazing. And how much of you that's in there that's retained, like the temporal or episodic pieces of you that are reflected back to you in the chat. It's just amazing. Super amazing. Like this show. So we think final verdict on self-destructing tools is just a bad idea. There's no gold here.
Whenever you put destruction in anything, it's not going to be something people hold in their hand. So I'm not sure. And most tools are held in hand, I would feel.
Well, except for like demolition services, I think they bill a lot, and that's just super fun work. dangerous, but super fun.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. That's technically a tool.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's a market, dude. We found one.
There we go. So
Actually, you found one. Good
self-destructing
job.
tools. And then it's a line item in their invoicing. So you have to buy new tools every single time. It's just a reseller. Oh, God. This is not good. Nobody make that business. Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. This was tons of fun. I learned a lot. You are an entrepreneur.
Yeah, this has been one of the best I've been on, seriously, because I never know what to expect, and having my own podcast, like, it's, you're always wondering how people interact and the questions, and not talking, and you have a good flow. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, this was tons of fun. So that's where we send people, to your show or to you directly on LinkedIn. What's the best for you?
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, I have my link tree, which has everything. So I have a YouTube channel that I do travel reviews, because we travel quite a bit for personal and business, and I do reviews of the places we go, the things we do. LinkedIn's where I post most everything. I do a LinkedIn Live every Monday now. I just started that. This is my 3rd episode coming up, where I pick a topic that I think is important for my target audience and talk about it for 30 minutes. So coming up, it's You're Not Behind, You're Just Building. So it's talking about that, comparing yourself to social media, your friends, why am I not that far in life, blah, 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 talking around that kind of stuff. And then, Just Some BS Live is what it's called. And then Just Some BS podcast comes out every Tuesday, every single week. And I've now passed, I think I'm on my 54th episode. So I'm past a year.
Fine. All right. We'll try to get links out to all of those.
That's cool.
This will come out in a couple of weeks. But thank you so much for coming on. This is really amazing.
Thank you, Nick. It's amazing.